And then 5 years later, they had more money in their 401k than ever before. And I'm going to tell you why. Hey, what's up, guys? So welcome back to the channel. Joseph Fountain here. So today I want to talk to you guys about that scary word, recession. I think what happens a lot of times is when we hear these words like recession or, oh, look out for recession, we always have the doomsday or fear mentality that comes behind that. Now, a recession is something that happens whether we like it or not. You can't really time it, but it's something that can also be a blessing. So I don't want to talk about the fear of a recession. I want to talk about ways that you can actually benefit from a recession. Now, I'm someone that started, investing in stocks at, like 13 years ago when we were getting into a really bad recession. So it wasn't necessarily like, a swell time for me to be investing. However, as I was learning through that process, I made some really, really great investments. And that's actually given me a way to be able to, have an eye for stocks and for different investments without even have to do a ton of research. Now that's for me because I've just been able to kind of have this thing about investments, and most of my investments have done pretty well. Like I averaged literally like 300% on a lot of my investments, and some even more, and some like maybe 50% or so. It's just based off of what I've been able to learn through that process of me learning how to invest during a recession. It just taught me a lot of different things about investing, how the economy works, how stocks works, and things like that. So here I am just trying to share some of my knowledge that I've learned from that so that you can actually take that and do well for yourself as well. Now, of course, I'm not a financial advisor, yada, yada, yada. So make sure that you do your own research. Don't just take my word for it, but make sure you research whatever I'm saying and make choices based off of your own research. But anywho, a lot of times during a recession, people they go through different things. In the recession, you typically see some sector that was very affected. Now, back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, you saw people affected as a whole. People were losing their jobs. I'm one of them. You saw a lot of people going through a lot of different things that just kind of brought fear and it brought a high level of uncertainty. And in fact, there's some people that were affected back then that they're still trying to get things together now. You had a significant amount of people lose their house based off the way the housing market, the way loans were being given out back then. Because see, back then, you didn't have to have any proof of income. You could just say, yeah, I make $1 million a year. And then they would say, okay, well, you're approved for $1 million house. And then you get the house and then you really only make, $100,000 a year. And now you got this huge mortgage and you can't pay it. So it caused a real big bubble, and when it burst, it hit everything. And so that was just a recession back then. Each recession can be different. I doubt we'll see any type of recession like we saw then. I'm sure that we've learned from our mistakes from that as a country, and so I don't think they'll ever be offering those type of loans again. At least I hope not. And so here I just want to share with you guys some ways that you can actually invest your money and invest your money in the right things that's going to do well during a recession. So that doesn't mean that it won't go down, but it means that it will hold its ground and it will do well through time. So during a recession, here's one of the first things you want to look at if you're looking to invest your money. So the first thing to think about is places that people go during a recession. When a recession happens, people tend to change up the way that they shop. And when they change the way that they shop, that pretty much changes up the places that they may normally go to. So they may not get clothes from one place, now they may get it from another place. So during a recession, there are certain places that sees an increase in people coming there to buy things. And so to give you some real examples, so let's think. If you normally buy groceries and you buy all these different things and you're always in the store and a recession happens and money's tight now, or like your business that you're a part of, or your company that you're with, or someone's struggling, or if you got laid off, or whatever happens, what are some of the things that you're looking to do? Where are some of the places you're looking to go? Now I'm waiting. Think about it. Where are some of the places you're looking to go? So here's an example. One of the places is where? Walmart. Why do people go to Walmart during a recession? Because they have some of the cheaper prices, and you can go and get everything in one place, which also helps you save on gas. Where's another place that people like to go? The dollar store, Dollar General. I bet you didn't think about those ones. because now people are going to those places now. And if you've been in a dollar store, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, then you'll see that these places they've really improved over the years. And they're not no places to like kind of slight just because they're a dollar store. You get some really good stuff there. I don't know if you've been to it recently, but let me tell you, they got some good stuff in there, and they're improving year by year. But believe that people are definitely going to go there to now spend $1 on things that they may normally spend $2, $3, or $4, even $5 on, because it's going to help people save money. And that's something that a lot of people probably miss. But if you look at their stock, you can see that they're actually doing pretty good. And you can see that they have been doing pretty good. A lot of people don't pay attention to that. But then you have companies like Dollar General, who actually has a dividend. Who would ever think dollar stores becoming billion-dollar companies is very real. Now, another example is Lowe's. Now, Lowe's is a great stock, and one of the reasons why I consider this something that can be quote-unquote recession-proof or a good investment during a recession is because now, whereas people normally pay to have a lot of things done at home, now this is where they get on YouTube and they learn how to save some money and do it for themselves. So where do they go? They go to places like Lowe's, places like Home Depot, and different shops. Like we have a place around here called Ollie's that has a lot of different things at a huge discount. And so people are looking to do things themselves. So places that people shop when during a recession, those are some things that you can look to actually put your money in. And like I said, your money may still go down something, but it will still hold very strong, as well as you will still be able to get dividends from some of those that still offer the dividend. Another thing to think about is things that people buy. Now, there are some companies that they produce an array of products that people buy during a recession regardless. And some of those companies, for example, are like Johnson & Johnson and Procter & Gamble. Now, if you were to go to both of their websites and see exactly the products that they offer, you will understand and you say, okay, wow, yeah, they offer a ton of products and they offer things that people are using all the time. Meaning there are some things that people cut and they stop using, and there are some things that they just don't stop using. And so those are two companies as an example. There are more companies out there to where they actually offer products that people continue to use during a recession. So the second one is things that people buy during a recession. Another one that to think about is things that people have to pay. And a good example of that is utility stocks. Now, utilities, they go up and down, but they hold their ground pretty good in general. But, you got to think, even if you're in a recession, you still want to pay, your electric bill because you want electric, because no electricity controls a lot of stuff in your house. And it's just a different situation if you don't have electricity in your home. As well, if you don't have electricity in your business. So you need those things to function like commercially as well as residentially. And so looking into things that you have to pay, I have to pay them. That means that they're still going to continue to make money. So if you're invested in a company, like I'm invested in our electric company here, and it's been a pretty good stock. Yeah, it goes up and down, but it's never missed a dividend. It's been pretty consistent. And, it is what it is because I got to pay it. So I'd rather also have some investments in it. So think about things that you have to pay, because things like, Verizon, like if you have cable, you don't have to pay them. That's something that people may look to cut, like electricity. Things like even like Netflix and Hulu, that's kind of a catch-22 because some people may cut cable and decide to get those things, but then also some people may decide to cut those things. But they're not things that you have to pay. And so think about things that you have to pay versus things that you would likely cut. That's where you find you can make some good investments. Also, another thing to think about is things that bounce back. So this one can be kind of a tough one because sometimes companies can come back, but they don't bounce all the way back. So an example, like I just talked about, recession that happened back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, that was really crazy. When that happened, it was really affecting real estate because real estate caused it. So a lot of houses became extremely cheap. A lot of real estate stocks and things like that, a lot of REITs, which are like real estate ETFs and things like that, they actually weren't doing so well. Everything was going down. But if you look at today, real estate has surpassed that point and kept going, and it's still going. And so if you were to able, for example, like to buy a home during that time, because during the recession, that's actually when me and my wife bought our home. So we got our home a lot cheaper than what it was. And so during that, if you were to look at the value of our home today, it's significantly higher because of the time that we bought it. The same thing happens with the real estate stocks and things like that, ETFs, REITs, and all that. If you were investing in those companies that were, had a little bit more to gain, like they had a lot of, good foundation, they were strong companies, or if it was just an ETF or a fund, which I would recommend a real estate fund versus like an individual stock. Reason being because the fund can actually switch out stocks. If you have a single stock, you have to watch that stock. But so having funds, REITs is what we call them, REITs, those things will actually switch out, based on their performance and things like that. And so if you were investing in those during that time, you would have got those things cheaper. And as things went up, then your money would have, went up along with it, but you would have bought more of that stock. So your money would have kind of shot through the roof. So investing in things that bounce back, which brings me to my next one, which is your 401k. I know 401k, where did this come out of and how did this become a part of the conversation? Well, here's the thing. During a recession, most people 401ks drop. Now, if you're over 60, 65, then this part might not apply to you. So because you're going to need your money quicker. So with your 401k, you might look to, reallocate to kind of, save some of your money, which, on the next video, if you watch that, I kind of talk about those things a little bit. Now, if you're 60 or 65, at the retirement age, then this actually doesn't really apply to you. But if you're like 50 and even like maybe 55, then this can actually still work for you. So what happens during recession? Portfolio values, they start to drop. Even some companies start to drop their match during a recession. And like I said, it depends on the recession and how the recession is affecting different industries and things like that. Sometimes I think we get caught up in what a recession looks like from the past, not knowing that the recession won't necessarily affect, the same type of scenarios the same type of areas and things like that as the last one did. It just depends on what has caused, that recession or that downturn or whatever, the case is. But what happens is when you're investing your money in a 401k during a recession, most people are like, oh my God, my 401k is going down. They were frantic. And then 5 years later, they had more money in their 401k than ever before. And I'm going to tell you why. So here we have $1. Okay, hold on. I'm not trying to stun on y'all, so don't get too excited. But we have $1. So let's say you have this dollar, right? And you have this dollar right now. So right now, your $1 can buy one bag of chips, right? So you can get one bag of chips. Now, they're not paying me to promote this bag. I'm just taking some of my kids' snacks. So if they want to pay me, they can, if y'all want to pay me because I'm putting y'all on this video, that's fine too. But they're not paying me. It's not sponsored by no chips. But this $1 can buy this bag of chips right now, okay? Because that's how much the bag of chips is. It's 99 cents, all right? But let's say the recession comes. The recession happens and you still have this dollar. So the value of a lot of these different things that are within your 401k, it's dropping. So now this same $1 becomes more powerful and it can buy you 2 bags of chips. So now you have 2 bags of chips for the same price that you normally would for just 1 bag. So that's what's happening in your 401k. Now your money's going in, and because these funds are dropping, you're buying more of the funds, which is the chips, with the same amount of money that's going into, your portfolio. So now here's the other example. So now the recession is over and things are bouncing back. Now you have 2 bags of chips that you bought for this $1. Now the bags of chips are now worth $1 again. You took $1 and bought 2 of them, and now they're both worth $1. So now you have $2 worth of chips, as before you only had 1. So if you were to sell just an example, these bags of chips, you'll actually make $1. So basically that's how that works. So now your money is climbing through the roof because your money has become more powerful during a recession. So that's something that you definitely want to think and keep in mind during a recession, is not take all your money out of your 401k. Now, I mean, you possibly could deduce if you have that time, or you have an enrollment time or whatever, where you can change things. You could just make sure you're matching your company at least or whatever. But what happens is your money is now more powerful during a recession. Now, the next thing, I loop these both together. They could be separate, but it's basically index funds and bonds. Now, I put them together because I don't have a whole lot to say about each, but basically having a fund that is like tracking the market is kind of like what I said about the 401k. Well, it's exactly like what I said about the 401k. So basically, if you had a fund like a Vanguard fund that tracked the S&P 500, or it was tracking like the stock market as a whole, it has all these different stocks in it, and so your money is still buying that same fund, and your money is becoming more powerful. Now, the thing with bonds, bonds are like you're giving a loan. So it's like you can loan the government, or you can loan a corporation money and they pay you back interest. Bonds are very stable. Most bonds don't, you don't really see a lot of problems with bonds like that. But let's say you have a bond that's filled with like treasury notes and treasury bonds or government bonds. Like I said, it's like you're giving money to give a loan and you're receiving interest back. So bonds have most bonds have done pretty well through time, regardless, because of that facet. So you can actually loan the money government and they can give you interest on top of your money year after year. So hey guys, I hope this has been helpful. So if we have a recession next year, or we have a recession 5 years from now, make sure you come back to this video, because these are tips that's going to help you get the maximum out of your money, and it's going to help you protect some of your money as well, just through investments. Now, there are some other things that you could do outside of investing that can help protect your money, of course. And one of the things that you want to do if you are like investing heavily in the stock market, and I talked about this in some of my previous videos, is that when you're investing, and say like you have $100, and let's say you wanted to kind of prepare to have, for like a stock, like a recession or something like that, and you can take $100 and you can take 40 of that and put it to the side and invest 60. If that was your thing, if you want to have cash on the side when a recession happens. But guys, I hope this has been helpful. I will see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.